Anime shippers annoy me.
But 30-something-year-old... Don't you love your ship with Eri?
Shipping, like Larping, like being a tourist, is something that exists in all fandoms. Be it, live action TV, movies, games, comics, and sometimes just real people, which is a bit weird, but obviously the most relevant to this video are the anime and manga shippers. We probably all know what a shipper is, but for the sake of the video, as well as the uninformed, let me give you a quick, succinct explanation. Shippers are people who engage in the shipping of characters. Well, duh. So what is shipping? Shipping is the act of pairing two characters together, usually from a fictional piece of media, whether or not the source material disagrees, or the people being shipped have no relationship hinted at present within the material, the shipper will pair the two anyway, maybe making fan art or posts about how they should be paired together. Unlike a lot of online verbiage, which is pretty easy to understand and kind of track down the origin of the term, like the term stan coming from the Eminem song of the same name, and stan being kind of insane and mental and a stalker, just like all those K-pop people on Twitter. Shipping is actually quite interesting, as I didn't know this, but apparently the term for shipping, right, originated from the X-Files of all things.
Kill me now.
As it was one of the first really big shipping communities. The word shipping itself, of course, was just the shortening of the term relationship or relationshipper into shippers. It's kind of neat, since I know a lot of live action shows have very avid fan bases when it comes to shipping. The most prevalent I know of as a fan of the show was Supernatural, and has a lot of strange fans, but it really did surprise me to find out that it all kind of came from the X-Files of all things. But to bring this back to anime and manga, of course, because I doubt most of the people who watch these videos have any idea what the X-Files even is, even though you should, it's a pretty decent series. Anime shippers are infamous all around the internet, and since this is a majorly JJK focused channel, let's talk about the cesspit that is JJK shipping first. Every ship, well, the mass majority of ships in JJK are very, very strange. If we go to the chart, the numbers that shows the most popular ships within Japan, I'm not even looking at the list right now, but I remember what's at the top, and there are quite a few that are at the top, and most of the ships are with adults and minors, which is, first of all, very strange. And it's also kind of strange that out of this entire list, there's only one, heterosexual ship. I don't know, maybe it's, a reflection of how most of the fan base who do ship characters are kind of into that, which is fair enough, I guess. It's just kind of interesting to point out. Another weird thing I've noticed about shippers specifically with JJK is that there are a lot of people who are anti-canon, which is kind of strange to say, especially with the release of Modulo. And what I mean by that is people who are vehemently against Utamaki, right? Utaki, Muda, well, not that Muda, but you know what I'm saying. For some reason, people don't ship, Yuta and Maki, who canonically, have a family, get married, grandchildren of all things, right? People like to ship Maki with Nobara, which is the strangest thing ever to me, given the fact that, Nobara and Maki probably had 2 conversations max. Even in the light novels, they don't really interact much. That Nobara has more interactions with Irumaki than Maki, which is quite strange if you think about it. And even funnier is that after Shibuya, for all those people that hardcore stan or ship Maki Nobara, after Shibuya, Maki does not give an absolute she does not care where Nobara is. If she's dead, could not give a shit. Yet people will be anti-canon and say, oh, but I don't believe in Utamaki, even though we see that they're grandparents. Okay? It's so stupid. And people get incredibly aggressive about this, but the most aggressive ship I've seen specifically in JJK is kind of a touchy subject, and I'll probably make a video on that specifically in the future, and that is, of course, Gojo x Geto. Are these two canonically freaky with each other? I'm just saying it could be for, could be against, it depends on your interpretation, but, despite that fact, it is one of the most aggressive and toxic topics to touch on in JJK due to the vitriolic attitude of people of both sides of the argument. Are they just best friends? Are they lovers? I don't particularly care all that much, but people get very angry about it. Just overall, JJK shipping is just kind of a weird kind of microcosm of the fandom, but it did help spawn the meme of power scale of Maki and Nobara's relationship being power scaled into irrelevance, because Maki would never be with someone weaker than her, and Maki crushes Nobara, so they would never get together. I think that's pretty funny, but JJK shipping is annoying. It's not a huge deal. It's such a small segment of the fandom. The rest of the fandom don't even read the series and they just play Roblox. And it's actually just a really small piece of the fandom that actually watch and read the series. It's insane. But there are more annoying and powerful anime shippers. So let's move on to the kind of like the most prolific shippers and kind of the most known for being degenerate. I'll play the clip again.
But 30-something-year-old. Don't you love your ship with Eri?
My Hero Academia and its consequences have been a disaster to the human race. MHA has been known since around like season 2, like very early on, as being one of the most diabolical fandoms in existence. Now for a quick little anecdote, I've been like a huge anime manga fan for years, like probably over 2 decades since I was watching Dragon Ball really young, but that's not the point, right? Because of it, I was going to conventions and stuff like as a younger person, back when I was still in school. My first convention, like Tokyo Ghoul, My Hero, Attack on Titan, was like first starting to come out in their first couple seasons, right? I mean, you can tell this is the first cosplay I ever did. Look at it, isn't it glorious? But I can vouch for the fact that My Hero Academia fans in person, not just online, were strange. Very, very strange and cliquey and just peculiar. They were never as bad as Danganronpa fans, and that is a can of worms in of itself, but sometimes, to be honest, MHA was just incredibly cringe, and it's infamous for being cringe, as it is one of the fandoms that engages in some of the most absurd and heinous ships that I've ever seen in anime. It's genuinely grim. I mean, I refer you back to the clip. Eri and oh my god.
What's your opinion on your ships? Don't you love your ship with Eri?
And people like to ship Deku. Oh my, what is wrong with you people? Jesus Christ. I mean, shipping any of these characters is kind of strange to begin with because the mass majority of the cast is, you know, in school. It's weird. I don't like it. I've never been a fan of shipping, but I feel like with My Hero in particular. Same with JJK. A large portion of the cast is mostly teenagers. It feels weird to ship them. Well, let's go on to the next series because, you know, My Hero Academia is over now. Manga's over, ended ages ago. People said the ending was trash. I didn't think it was that bad. And now people think it's the best ending out of the, you know, current gen. That's fine. But with the whole series, the anime and the manga over, where do these shonen shipping settlers go now? You guys heard of Gachiakuta? I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, especially with this accent dialect, but it's a fun enough series. I've watched the anime, read little bits and pieces of the manga. It's very fun and unique. I really like it. And the author is unique, to put it one way. One little side note, for some reason, shippers really like shonen in particular. It's kind of weird. Like, the most prevalent forms of shipping you will see in the anime fandom, for the most part, will be shonen. I guess, I don't know. There's probably something to pick apart there, but I can't be bothered. All I know is that My Hero Academia shippers migrate like they do the Oregon Trail every time a new shonen comes out with a cool art style. MHA, then a JJK, then a Gachiakuta. I like Gachiakuta. I think some of the concepts brought up in it are really interesting. But romance as a theme, from what I can tell, has never been like a huge focus. It's there in the series and bits and pieces of it, but especially in regards to ships and the ships I've been seeing and the shipping and headcanons I have like scrolled through on Twitter and stuff, these ships have been getting sort of hand that the author of Gachiakuta, Kei Urana, has had to basically come out and say, no, that's not canon. That's stupid. That's a stupid ship. Calm down. Silence. Yes, Kei Urana is one of the more vocal modern mangakas, but the fact that it has gotten this annoying to the author herself, it's astonishing. Shipping 2 characters that maybe had one fight. The ships people come up with are just genuinely peculiar. Have like 2 characters that fight once and then never see each other again. Oh, ship them together. Yeah, sure. And then obviously Kei Urana comes out and says, no, that's stupid. Even just headcanons as a whole in Gachiakuta in regards to characters' genders and stuff. Kei Urana has also said, no, that's not true. With Tamzi, if I remember correctly, I think his name is. Like, a lot of the fan base was saying that they are trans. It's not, it's just a dude. And Kei Urana have to say, no, that's headcanon, that's weird. Stop it. Away from like those specific fandoms, right? One thing I would like to ask, if there is a person who actively engages in shipping in regards to like, you know, anime fandoms, specifically with like unconventional characters in fiction, and for some reason they're watching the video and somehow made it this far, what I'd like to ask is simply, why? I understand seeing characters that have like a hinted romantic interest in each other and thinking to yourself, they'll probably get together in the end, so to speak, like to make it more topical, like Leon and Claire or Leon and Ada. Sure, those two are genuinely viable ships, so to speak. But Sherry? Some people just ship really weird stuff, and I want to ask why. You see 2 characters who share no romantic feelings in each other, and it's never been hinted at ever in any series or any part of the franchise. Just look again at this horrifying graph of popular JJK ships. It's all adults with minors. Why do you do this? Also, again, why is it mostly men? Like, what? It's almost exclusively men. We have a single Utahime in this absolute smorgasbord sausage party. But still, it's very strange to me, very peculiar. I think, you know, every part of every fandom, so to speak, has its fair share of shippers. As I said, it's not just relegated to anime, as I've saw with live action stuff, because I like the show Supernatural, yet that fan base is like a fucking feral pack of hyenas. It's insane, right?
I need you to let me touch it.
But with anime ones, it just gets so peculiar, and people will just ship these strangest characters with each other. Those are like the most noticeable I've seen in modern times, those of which being My Hero, JJK and Gachiakuta. But back in the day, I'm trying to think of other weird ships I used to see, like other franchises that did it in similar ways. I mean, even before those, when Bleach was still coming out, a big part of the fandom was like two major ships, whether or not one was canon and one wasn't. Like, people still argue now between, minor spoilers for, you know, Bleach if you're an idiot, but, you know, whether it's going to be Rukia Ichigo or Orihime Ichigo. And that was the biggest debate of Bleach for like 5 years, I guess, like when the series was ongoing for the longest time. And it's probably going to start up again when the final core of Bleach comes out. Like, people were super hyper aggressive about this. I remember that one very vividly. People really wanted Ichiruki or whatever it was called. People really, really wanted that for some reason, even though like it just, I don't know, it didn't never make any sense to me. I've never been a fan of shipping in the first place, but that ship just didn't click at all. It didn't feel right, so to speak. But that is one that I remember very, very vividly. But yeah, long story short, anime shippers annoy me. They form romantic and sexual relationships between characters, and I genuinely don't understand the appeal behind it. But seeing the sheer amount of people shipping an adult with a minor is concerning, specifically in the case of Eri, like pretty much a literal toddler, and she's like, I don't remember how old she is, I don't fucking know. But even still, it's very, very strange. Like, what the fuck? To end the video, if it turns out that Leon is in fact married to Ada, I'm going to punch Wesker 10 more times. Holy fuck. Also, if you go to my Patreon, I'll make 10 more videos about Kusakabe. Peace.